What is going on? Welcome on in. Today's Wednesday, September 27th. We got a trade recap, and it is a red day, $85 in the red. And to be honest with you, this is just the continuation of my frustrations. But we've managed to keep these losses small. The unfortunate thing is that there's just been a lot of them the past, 2 weeks specifically. Somehow the beginning, there's a period like at the beginning of September that we were doing decent, or at least treading water, slightly green. And then now it's just like we're doing the exact opposite. It's not like we're getting destroyed. I'm not having max loss days, which is good in terms of risk management, which means like we don't really need much to turn this around. But we're not getting any spark turning around. Is it a problem with how I'm viewing things? I don't know. I mean, well, let's dive into it. So I didn't trade anything this morning. Now, looking back, this morning there was one opportunity, and I say one opportunity. There was ideas, but based off of my strategy, which I have been pretty much sticking to very seriously over these past couple of months, and I know when I veer from that, I tend to lose more. So I'm trying not to do that. And that's been a focal point ever since weeks ago when we really were having problems with that, or just back in August when things were kind of choppy and I was like, oh, this is kind of annoying. The problem that you kind of have is just looking at the overall market in general. The problem that you have is, again, when I talk about playing the downside, I played puts today only, right? Market was red, stocks were generally red, not everything, but generally red. You think, how do you lose? Well, you can still lose on that. And even with playing puts, you're seeing an example right now as I am filming this video. I don't know how it's going to close. The market's green. It was green. It gapped up. It went down substantially, and now it's come back green. If you just look at the 5-minute chart, I'll go to a 15-minute or 5-minute chart here on SPY. I mean, whoa. So, you have a pretty clean trend day to the downside, and then you get a snapback of $3 on SPY in about a half hour. Not even. It's so there's nothing you can do when that happens. You can get mad about it, but that's a situation where it wasn't like I was necessarily doing the wrong things and sabotaging myself. This is going to happen, part of the game, why you have risk management. So when you are wrong, maybe you'll be wrong a little bit and it'll go back your direction. You're gonna go, dang, I could have been right. I could have held on to that. But it minimizes when this happens, you don't get blown up, right? So you got to have stops in place and you got to look back at it and not really care. That's just kind of funny when you look back at it, right? So I look at that, I'm like, okay, that's just, it is what it is, right? It's the nature of how the market is. So if I go to my trade list, I had Apple first, and I started the day off with Apple. I want to pull up the charts here, and then I'll kind of jump back over to TradeZella, where we're tracking it all. So if we go to Apple, the thought process I had was there was maybe an opportunity right here. I play momentum breaks, right? So double bottom establishes at 172. The reason why I did not trade that was because it's early in the day. Technically, it was 15 minutes after open that we did break it, but we broke this after breaching back up VWAP and pushing all the way up here. So you push up, about $1, and then you had $1 downside move in 5 minutes. For me, I'm not able to play that because that would require me to now have a stop loss based on my strategy all the way up over the top of the breaking candle, which is $1 higher. I'm not having a $1 stop loss. The risk management doesn't make sense. You may as well just wait for a better opportunity. And that's what I tried to do. And there kind of were, but again, you'll see what I mean. It wasn't like I could play it clean based off of my risk management. So it stems from I've got to be able to clearly manage the risk here. If I cannot do that, I shouldn't trade, right? So and it has to meet the criteria of my setup. So that was one that kind of did, just breakdown wise, but that candle was not nice. So not going to play that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, it depends on how you view it. That was a massive move, and Apple, that would have been a monster trade. There's no doubt about it. Would have been a monster trade. You really didn't have any green candles until 9:15, but you had now moved from 172 all the way down towards 170 on Apple. That's a big move. That contracts would have done very, very well. I didn't play Apple till the afternoon, so there was a couple things that I started to notice. There was this right here. So we have established this big move down, established a bounce, These tend to be pretty decent breakdown patterns, bear flags right inside of here. I don't play that. I personally wait for the break here. So that's what I decided to do, and I did. And what ended up happening was you got Apple to make a move down. You had this wick. Could I have gotten out? Let's go back to the chart here and see on the initial 1231 entry point. I was up at the peak, $44. Not worth taking profits to me. I don't, it needs to be 100 plus for me to even start considering that, right? So I'm not taking profits on the move that small, and that's all it was. And I got in somewhere in here, and that was it. And then it snapped back, and then eventually it stopped me out. I actually got stopped out here on one of these wicks, which then I looked back and was like, maybe that's not a good stop. So then I played Apple again, which I played it. Now, was this a bad play or not? I don't know. You tell me what you think. I thought it was fine to play because I've seen this happen before, right? These upper wicks, I'm liking this pressure to the downside. Market's, weak at the time. Apple starts to break back to the downside here on this wick. I enter it again, looking for a push towards low of day. And maybe this time it's going to finally go. It had some more breathing time. Now it's going to go to lows again. Nope. That's when the market has that big rally of the past 30 minutes. And so it stops me out. So that was essentially the two plays in Apple. Again, these are not big, massive losses, right? We're tight stops. Like we had tight stops on these. I was not pissed necessarily about them. If I go back into here, $50 on the second trade, 64 on the first. I'm okay with that. Not bad. Meta, I played Meta. This is the trade that happened at 105 my time. Here's where this kind of, I don't want to say pisses me off, but like, again, same thing, right? Where it's the strategy, the setup, everything is there. And then things just don't work. This one, it kind of did, but contracts were a little too volatile. There was some news going on. Meta has some event going on, so you have to take that into account. Know that is the risk. Here's where I can kind of look back and say I probably could have just locked this in and walked away. However, the chart the chart was just starting to break down. So I'm not mad about how I handled this one either. Simple play, right? Break this low of day, play it short, momentum downside. Got in on that candle break. The thing moved like $2.5 very quick. Okay. So on that initial move, we go back here. When I got in on this meta play, we were up pretty quick on this trade. We took our first profits when we were up around $95, about $100, locked in half. I had two contracts locked in half. At peak, we're up 114, 115. Then it came back and stopped me out for a $34 gain, or is that what it was? For a $29 gain, because contracts were a little volatile. So I ended up having a stop loss on it, and it stopped me out a couple, like 10 cents or 20 cents below the stop loss was, which ended up making me lose more than I needed to. It was probably going to be about a $50 win, but ended up being only a $29 win because of that. But I'm not going to get mad about that. It broke, and then it immediately snapped back and popped. And when I had my stop loss hit, which was on this candle, contracts just moved to the degree that they moved, and it is what it is. When you play news, that's a reality. If I had played this with just shares, probably would have netted a little bit more in the green, but not going to get mad about it. It is what it is, and not, it's not like it's the end of the world. This is part of the game, right? So these are situations where like you have this breakdown, it was kind of good, and then it just snaps right back. Nothing you can do. Should it really lose big on these? No, but in this case, I won small and barely, on that, and that is what it is. So that's essentially the nature of it. It's not like we're not playing the short side. It's not like, I'm playing only long. It's like, no. Like I'm playing the short side. It's just that it's not, again, as easy as it may look. Now, the big miss, at least for my strategy, again, you could trade anything else. So you can look at this and say, oh, you fucking suck. You could be playing, this simple strategy. Look at me, I'm so good. Again, that's fine right now. That strategy will not work all the time, and it may not work that great in 2 weeks or in a month, right? And maybe my strategy is working great. Not going to sit here and tell you just trade my strategy. It's the best. It doesn't have anything to do with that. That's not what it's about. It's mastering your strategy so that then you know when to use it, when to push the pedal, when to back off, and just, do other things. Or play the inverse of your strategy, right? You can play the inverse. When your strategy is not aligning, right, you can play the inverse, which is what I did yesterday. If you want to go back to yesterday's video, you can see what I talked about in that video. Here's the miss today. Tesla. So I'm watching the charts like this morning. I'm like, okay, daily chart wise, what are we thinking? Like, what are the best looks for the downside? Obviously, we know Apple's currently in a daily breakdown under 173.50. That's like a big level on Apple. But Tesla was one that I was watching closely, and Tesla was a stock that I liked it if it can break down under 241, which was, I believe, or 241.50, which was around yesterday's low. If it can do that, I was like, okay, this could be interesting. I might be interested in playing this. Now, as I zoom into Tesla's chart, you're going to see here in a second, like, this was there, but it was not, it happened quick, right? So you had to be kind of quick to see it. And this is the trade. Now, Tesla's trending down, right? It's nice and easy trending to the downside. It's this period right in here. So if there was a trade, it would have been this for me. And it did have about a 15-minute consolidation near, not at low of day, near low of day, but we've got pressure into low of day in a downtrend. Zoom out the past couple days in a bigger picture downtrend. Give me the short if I'm watching. I was not paying attention to it, wasn't watching it at 11 a.m. my time. It then gets this big break. That would have been the trade. There was not really, I look back, there's not a trade here. There was not a trade here until that opportunity. And it could have been a quick loss, because if all of a sudden Tesla dips down and snaps right back up over these highs, these wick highs right here, I mean, I'm going to be out. So it could have been a quick loss. It could have been quick, which is kind of a good thing, to be honest. Like, I kind of like when they're fast. I mean, yes, it's good and bad, right? When it's not working, it kind of sucks. But when it is working, it's kind of cool. I mean, look at that move, right? From 241.25, so just below the level I was talking about, below yesterday's low, all the way down to 235 or 234.50. Not that I'm going to hold the whole way down. No one's going to do that. Maybe I would have gotten stopped out, or whatever, but I would have had a fat chunk of that move, and it would have been a good trade. So looking back, like, that is the miss. You're not going to catch them all, right? There's no way to catch them all. But when I am sitting here watching and I see things like this, or like the Apple trade, or like the Meta trade, I'm going to trade them because that is the strategy. So that's today's trade recap. Back in here on TradeZilla, we are coming in with, we had a nice streak, and now it's been mostly red. We had yesterday, which was technically a break even, but it's coming in as green, but it was a break even day. Not a big loss day today. I mean, to be for what it is, I'm not mad. Could have been. You can see how, like, it's not like it's the end of the world. It's not like there's nothing working. The strategy, there's opportunities. Like, there was opportunities there that could work. The Tesla trade could have easily been, a $200 trade, right? Whereas you see how we're playing some of these, and these opportunities are $50 loss, $64 loss. And so when you hit a $200 winner, it's like, oh shit, it makes up for a lot of that and more, right? So you don't need a lot of those to be hitting stride. So that's where we're currently at. That's the looks. Am I mad about what I did? Nope, not really. I would take those again. The only things I would say is that maybe, it was kind of like midday. These trades yesterday would have been fine. So you can't really say. At the end of the month, we'll come back, we'll check all the stats and see, which is in a couple of days, and we'll see. So that will be coming up on Friday. That'll be a bigger video on Friday, and we'll see what the data tells me in terms of, like, what setups were working best, what time of day, what stocks. And so we've got a little bit of some stuff to kind of play off of into next month, potentially, to focus on the strengths, cut out some of the fat, and work from there. So hopefully this is helpful. That's today's trade recap. I'll leave links to TradeZilla and everything else that I use down below this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.